Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And it's all about building resilience. For today's show, we have Timea Urban, the urban healer, joining us here from Canada. She works worldwide with so many people, with her Reiki as an RN locally, and with her practices. My goodness, she does so much for us. So welcome to the show. She's always here to help calm us, relax us, and to have us think about, self-care, being mindful, and just to live a happier life. But she uses, Western, Eastern medicine philosophy. She's got it down pat. Timea, welcome back today. How are you?
Hi, so happy to be here. And thank you for that introduction. That was beautiful. I have nothing else to say.
Well, it's amazing that you're back with us. The urbanhealer.ca is your website, and you offer all different modalities to help people heal and find their true selves, correct?
Yes. So I started off as a nurse. I've been nursing for 10 years. I've slowed down my nursing since then. And now I'm a Reiki master. I'm a life coach. I do hypnosis. I do tapping. I teach yoga. I teach a little bit of everything because I think that the mind and the body really need to have a more holistic perspective. If you're working through something, you want to heal something. So I love adding a little bit of everything so it can be uniquely catered to exactly what the person's looking for.
Great. Well, thank you for being here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about building resilience, another great topic that you choose. She's a wealth of knowledge, this woman. What exactly is resilience? Let's talk about that. And hopefully we're going to learn a lot today.
Yes. So I think resilience is really important for everyone because we are always going through these ups and downs in life. And the definition of it is having the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. So you can't stop bad quotations, things happening to you and getting these bumps in the road as you're moving through life, but how you deal with it and whether it's going to keep you stuck or whether you're going to move forward is really going to determine the, enjoyment of life that you're going to have, and also what we refer to as resilience. So it's the whole idea of something happens, but then how do you bounce back? Being elastic, being able to jump back onto your feet, even though you've been knocked down. And one thing that I was kind of doing some research on this material was being able to advance despite adversity. And again, it's like life is never stagnant. Things are always thrown at us as a curveball. Like we didn't expect the pandemic to happen, and it did. And it's made every single person in this world have to change and alter certain things, even how they work, how they get groceries, how they interact with people. And it just is important for us to stay motivated and goal oriented and still have this connection to your higher vision of what you're trying to create. Stay proactive, take care of yourself, but then honor the fact that sometimes bad things happen and it sucks, and you're not going to just pretend that everything's okay and keep going, but then being able to keep going in a timely manner so you grow and transform from it rather than it holds you back.
Got it. And let me ask you this. What would you say encompasses resilience in a sense?
So there's a couple of things that I think make it up. So one thing is your cognition. So are you someone who's always positive or always negative? So if something bad happens, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? You can go down that road, or you can be like, cool, that sucked. Now what can we do to make it better? So having this sense of motivation and ambition to keep going, having a really strong belief system in terms of believing in yourself, but then also being compassionate to yourself with the experience that you're having. Humor is so important. I mean, sometimes you just have to laugh because you're like, really? Did that just have to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a beautiful way of working through some of those heavier emotions and those circumstances and keep going. I mean, I know personally as a nurse, nurses have a very dark sense of humor, which we don't share out in public unless we're with other nurses.
I didn't know
but it's
that.
Oh, we're bad. It is whoo, it's bad. But it's you kind of have to, because you see trauma over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a sample of dark humor?
Oh gosh. I don't know what's
Think about it next time.
Okay. You can call me out later, and if I remember, I'll email you. I don't know if it's allowed to be exposed.
Got it. Well, I was just with my friend who's a nurse practitioner yesterday on my kids' soccer team, and she was talking about COVID and about how bad it got and how burnt and all the trailers of bodies and people. And she has the same kind of, I guess I could see a dark sense of humor with her, because the stuff she was saying about dead people, which is not appropriate, but it's whatever she had to say. She's like, yep, dead, God, next. It was just that's.
I was gonna say that's kind of horrible. That's like one of the things that unfortunately is like a dark sense of humor of like if someone passed away, you'd kind of be like, oh crap, now I got to do the paperwork. And not that
Yeah.
you're not emotionally touched by it, but then you're like, oh my God, that's so much extra charting. That means I'm gonna like stay late. So when you know someone's like kind of on their way out, you're just like, woo, don't be on my shift. I know
Uh,
that's horrible. I'm so
but that's true.
sorry.
I've heard a million people say that before. Trust me. But all right, all
Yeah.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Out of the dark
Don't
sense of
judge
humor
me.
now.
I'm a good person.
You are. My goodness. Stop it. Stop it. So I'm sorry. We were talking about
Yeah. The other
encompassing
thing, so
resilience.
there's cognition, your environment, and your behavior. So in terms of your environment, it's important for us to have social supports because then when things do happen and things don't feel good, you have someone to like lean on or ask questions or like being able to be connected. And this is also things like your spirituality. So whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, source, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what the religion and the label is, but having that trust that, okay, things are rough right now, but I'm still going to get through it because overall I'm safe. So that is really important. And I would also like to say, even though we are so on the internet and connected, I guess, in a more like cyber way, like not physically, emotionally, like touching, it doesn't mean that that's not a strong connection. I've had some beautiful friendships blossom out of Instagram because we just somehow started DMing each other, started following each other. And these are some of my like closest friends, which like makes no sense. So it doesn't matter how you meet them, and it doesn't need to be like someone in close proximity, but just being able to share experiences and share your viewpoint and values and feel safe to like really talk about how you feel and then like be able to blossom and grow together. And the last thing I was going to say was behavior. So it's like you have to have self-care practices and you have to have these rituals that you do in terms of meditation, in terms of physical activity, in terms of leaning into other types of healing modalities. And that's why I like keep mentioning different tools and techniques, because when you're already in it, it's really hard to start a new habit when you're already feeling down. But if you already have a strong meditation practice, or you're really on it in terms of, I do yoga 4 times a week, period, non-negotiable, I do it, you build this like strong foundation and I would say like a baseline. So then when you do get knocked over, you don't fall as far because you have these tools that are holding you together.
Got it. So what are some unhealthy coping mechanisms that
Which
we
we
seem to
all
do?
do.
Yep.
So there is no judgment here. And I don't think that there's anybody who doesn't lean into these. Like, it doesn't matter how spiritual you are, how much
Yeah.
healing you've done, you're still going to do these. But then when you're a little more aware, you might be like, I'm watching Netflix, not because I want to, but because I don't want to do this. And that's okay. But you notice, you acknowledge, you do you, that's fine. So numbing, ignoring, pretending it didn't happen. You're just like moving on, didn't happen, not thinking about it, don't want to look at it. You put it in a box, move it to the side. Pushing other people away. So you don't want other people to be there for you and to support you. You can blame yourself or others. And that's not really healthy because sometimes things just happen and it doesn't mean that it was your fault. We have a dog.
I love it.
I mean,
Yeah, but that was so cute. That was so
there
beautiful.
you
Look,
go.
and camera
Hear
ready.
it. I was gonna say I could hear it, and then
And
I was
you're
like,
like,
and 3, 2, 1, dog. Benefits of working from home. You
I
can't
love it.
control the fur babies, and
I
I love
love it.
it. But then also sometimes people will wallow in the pain and just get like lost in the self pity of it. And it's like, then you kind of hold on to that victim mentality. And like, I'm not saying it's okay what happened, and I'm not saying just get over it, but it's like you do need a little bit of time to grieve what happened, but then you also need to process it, release it, and move forward. And don't let it mean something in a way that you're being held back and that it's going to prevent you from growing or affect how you show up. So it's important not to be caught in that victim mentality. And it's important for your overall success and how you live life and your quality of life, how much you enjoy it. Because again, it's like, did anybody know the pandemic was coming? No. Did anybody think it was going to linger for this long? No. But you kind of just need to make the best of it and continue and move forward. And I
Yeah.
mean, for a personal example, like I did not want to be a COVID nurse. I didn't sign up for that. And I also didn't really want to make my business virtual. Like I had zero desire to do that. Like I was not a Zoom person. I've never used Zoom before. Like I was not virtual at all. I'm not techie. And I literally was like, cool. So I'm either going to continue being a COVID nurse or my business goes virtual and we figure it out. And this is uncomfortable.
And
And
here
here we
you
go.
are.
And now it's like 95% of my clients are virtual. I've fully weaned off people coming like into my space one-on-one. I do a couple group settings in Toronto still, but it's actually so much better. It's more efficient. I love it. But in the moment, I'm just like, I hate
Of
this.
course,
This
it
is
gets
horrible.
scary. Change is scary. My goodness.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, and here you are, a success. So speaking of
Thank
success, so you
you.
say, why is resilience essential for success? And I think you're going to give us some tips on that too.
Yes. So resilient people just adjust better to changes. And we all know that everything changes all the time. Like there's always curveballs, whether it's like an election and you have a new leader who then changes policies, or whether it's a global pandemic, which changes everything from how you go to work, where you buy your groceries, you being able to travel and see your family and friends. So it's just like things will continuously will continue to change. So if you don't have the ability to bounce back and be plastic with that and just be able to go with the flow, you're gonna have a really hard time and life's gonna feel really like exhausting. So it is important in terms of success. You're never going to be able to plan ahead for everything. And then being able to develop this sense of resilience really just helps you adjust to changes in the long run. And then that allows you to kind of go with the flow with anything that happens. And the more resilience you build in your professional life, the more resilient you are in your personal life. The more you have in your personal life, the more you're in your professional life. So it's just, it makes you you. And again, it makes life feel easier as opposed to holding on to like, this is hard and this is so hard and this is so frustrating. Being like, cool, this sucks. Let's move on and let's see what we can actually do with that. And then this also helps you build your reputation of how you handle stuff. There are some businesses that could not adjust to being just virtual. And there's also
Yeah.
some businesses that chose not to be virtual because they're like, that's not my thing and I don't want to, I'll just take another road. But then it's like the ones that kind of survived or they made it work, they're still around. And then there's some people who had to kind of change their game plan for what they're doing. So again, I'm not saying one is more resilient than the other by any means, but it just allows you to go with the flow and like kind of flow with the punches of
Oh, with the
life.
punches. Now you said there's scientifically based evidence how this works, right? And how it can help
Mhm.
be a benefit to us.
Exactly. So the first one I wanted to talk about is changing your narrative. And I feel like this one might actually be the hardest one. So this is a little idea of being at cause for what you do. So if something happens to you, it's not necessarily your fault. And I'm not ever blaming the person it happens to, but what do you choose to move forward? Like, how do you create that situation in terms of what it means for you and your worth and like how you move through life? So when you get bad news, do you repeat it over and over and over again in your mind, replaying it,
Yeah.
trying to think
Yeah.
it? Which side
Uh-huh.
note, human nature, it's called rumination. But then can you just take a moment and be like, okay, that really sucks. Now let's move forward. Because then you're stuck in the past. You're not actually moving forward.
Forward. Yeah.
So when you change the narrative, then you start looking at life events as feedback, not failure. So let's say you lost a job. Did you even like that job? Did you want to be there? Is this where
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And it's like the way things kind of moved around for me, like I was going to go to the ICU when I was nursing and then it just didn't work. I got there, I hated it, I left. It was super awkward. It really threw things off. And I was like, why? Then I was like, oh, because then I started focusing on my business and this is what I actually love and desire. In the moment, I was not a happy camper and I was super confused and lost. But again, it's like everything is just feedback, not failure. And then choose to be the hero of your story, not the victim. This happened to me. This was hard. And then they did this. And then this happened. And it's like, and then I chose to do what?
And do.
So take back your power. And it's like, you get to do that. You get to decide how life is going to be for you. You cannot control the external environment, but you can control your internal environment and how you think and how you perceive it. So, an activity that I recommend doing is writing for 20 minutes. Don't look at it. Doesn't matter what it like. It doesn't need to be pretty. I wouldn't say type it, do pen and paper. It can be messy, it can be point form, and just get things out of your mind. So it kind of stops that rumination of the cycling through and through and through and repeating and just having your mind spin. But you do energetically release that. And then it's like sit there for a moment and just be like, what's the silver lining? Like force yourself to find at least a couple things that are what is the positive out of that? What did you learn? And if anything, you'd be like, I'm never doing that again. Got it. So choose, and that will actually reprogram your mind and your brain and
Okay.
your cognitive patterns of how you're looking at the situation.
All right. So wait, that was changing the narrative, facing your
Yes.
fears. There's a whole bunch more, right?
Yes.
Woof.
I
Wow.
know, we're going. We're going.
I'm on
So
a roll.
facing, I know we're
How do
doing
we
it.
face those fears?
You actually got to face them. And it's as easy as that. Moving on, just kidding. So when you're facing your fears, you need to break the belief that a certain situation or thing is scary and it's going to harm you. And you need to realize that you're actually stronger than that and that it won't harm you. So it can be anything with NLP. So you can like talk to the subconscious mind and reprogram it. Hypnosis, again, working with the subconscious mind, working with a therapist. There's different types of techniques that can be used. A desensitization. So if you're scared of snakes, you see a picture of it, and then it's like there's a toy of it, then there's a real one, but it's super far, then you're a little bit closer, then you touch it, and everything's okay. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then you realize you don't need to actually fear anything. But when you're able to face your fear, you literally realize you're stronger than you thought you were, and then it builds your resilience.
Got it. And next on the list would be practice self-compassion.
I think
Trouble with that
self-compassion
one.
is
Mhm.
important for absolutely anything and everyone for any situation, because we just don't do it because we are so critical of ourselves. So with compassion, this just allows you to honor your experience and not judge yourself for it. And one tip that I always say is, would you say that to a child or would you say that to your best friend? Because if the
Yeah.
answer is no, don't speak to yourself like that. That's it, done. And it's like, oh, I'm struggling today. Okay, then let yourself struggle today. But then rather than going for a
Don't take
glass
it
of
out.
wine or
Mhm.
like numbing, putting on Netflix and be like, I'm not dealing with it, just
Yep.
go lie down and cry. Like let it out and then be like, okay, now I'm going to continue moving on because I let myself feel that, process it, and continue going. And I think that this is a beautiful way of confronting and approaching some of your suffering with an attitude of kindness and warmth, not judgment and criticism. So again, just check in with how you're feeling and try to detach yourself from the feelings. So you are not anger, you are not fear, you're not sadness, but you are experiencing those things. So then if you want to take a mindful moment and like, oh, this anger, and then just say that, this anger, and then honor it, hand on your heart, feel it, and let it come up, and then allow it to slowly start processing it. And then if you want, and if you're ready for it, being like, I accept myself as I am.
Got
And
it.
as you should. No one's perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. And if you are, that's a lie. You're not. You're not going to get there. Honor where you're at, honor the process, and let yourself feel whatever you're feeling.
Okay. In the meantime, some things we could do also on that list was meditation, right? To help with this.
Yes. So I do recommend having a meditation practice as soon as possible. I started my meditation practice when I like called off a wedding and like got rid of my home and had to move back home with my family. It was not
Ah,
that most ideal circumstance. And it was a little challenging to get started when I've never meditated before. So if you
ah,
start when you're like, okay, and then you start off with 5 minutes and you kind of work your way up, then when something bigger happens, you already have that quotation muscle strengthened as opposed to you're building a habit while you're going through something challenging. But our absolute most painful thoughts and experiences about those thoughts are always being caught in the past or getting lost in the future and not being in the present moment. And with
yeah.
meditation, you learn to be in the moment and just land here as you are. And then when you do this, you strengthen this sense of mindfulness within you. You're actually developing neural pathways. You're allowing yourself to be in this parasympathetic nervous system, so this calm state, as opposed to being in that like high cortisol, high adrenaline, sympathetic go, 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 where your mind feels foggy and unclear. So again, just know that whatever's happening to you and whatever thoughts you're having, they're not you. Your thoughts are also not facts, so you cannot believe them as they are. And if you want to start with something really easy for meditation, just check in with every part of your body. It's like relax the face, relax the shoulders, breathe into the chest, breathe into the belly, allowing yourself to settle through the lower body. And it can just be little tiny things, and that's still more than doing nothing. And it does create a change in your mind and your body.
And what about cultivating forgiveness? a
This
hard thing
one's
for us to do sometimes. Yeah.
not fun all the time because we like to hold on to that because for some reason our mind has created the story that if I'm still mad at you and I'm holding on to it, it's because I'm trying to like, send that bad energy to you, slash, I'm not going to let you hurt me again. But then the other person could be just like frolicking in the world, no idea that they even did something wrong and you're mad at them. Like that's not affecting them. But the energy of that anger or sadness or grief or whatever you're holding on to, that is lingering within you energetically and physically. And it's a lot of negative energy that does not feel good. So you need to just acknowledge what happened. Notice the feelings and sensations that are within you. Perhaps work with someone, a coach, a therapist, choose somebody. This is challenging work to do on your own if you've never done it before. And then make peace with it. Like you're literally preventing yourself from moving forward and living a better life. So it's like if you're holding on to something from the past, but you're like holding on to it, you're choosing to relive the thing that you want to let go. So you are the one who are now is creating this future suffering, even though initially it happened because of somebody else. So unfortunately, this is one of those like little wake up calls, truth bombs. You may not want to hear it's on you.
Yeah.
You need to keep going, need to let it go. And again, it's like, it's not hurting the person who upset you, it's hurting you. And then you're preventing yourself from being able to move forward. So take this as an opportunity to grow, to release, to acknowledge. And again, you might want to work with somebody because this is heavier work to do on your own.
All right. Makes sense. And what about after forgiveness comes getting connected?
Yes.
So what's
So
getting connected? How do we do that? Connected with, you mean like ourself, our
I
purpose,
would
our
say
mind, or
connecting with other people. So it's like when something bad happens, we like retreat and we hibernate and we hide because we think we're the only person who's going through this. Chances are whatever has happened to you, as horrible as it may be, someone else has also experienced this. And I'm not saying
yeah.
seek out other people necessarily, unless that's what you desire, but really lean in on your friends and your family. And even if it's like, I don't want to talk about what happened, but I'm going to join a new hobby, a new fitness group, and then I'm going to be part of that group. So I feel connected, I feel safe. Having those strong, positive relationships in your life allows you to feel really accepted and supported. And it allows you to kind of process through some of those heavy emotions that you're going through. And it also allows you to have like beautiful connections with other people. And then it's like, oh, I'm not alone, but I am okay. Even though that happened, it's okay. Oh, I'm feeling joy again. Oh, I'm having fun again. So having some sort of a community you can connect to. And again, it doesn't need to be in person. I know everyone's COVID, I guess, safety level and what they feel comfortable with is different. So it could be a Zoom thing. A lot of my clients are virtual from all over the world and they're starting to connect with each other and be friends, which is beautiful. But then it can also be like an outside activity 2 meters apart, unless you feel totally comfortable and do something more close in close contact. But whatever it is, we are creatures that need other people around. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in a group, in a tribe, in a community. And it's important for us to have that. So find a way to create connection with other people.
Perfect. Yeah. Unlike the past few years with COVID, all the kids, I wonder how it's going to affect all of them psychologically, not
I
having this
know.
contact
I
for 2
know.
years and the masks and kids are getting used to being virtual and doing homework alone and doing on their computers. And anyway, let's make sure we
It's
make
true.
every day meaningful. I know you say that all the time, but in particular, yeah, this is good for today.
So important. So regardless what kind of day you're having, take a moment to reflect what is going well, what am I grateful for, and like really be clear on having meaning in your future. What are your goals? How are you going to achieve them? How can you really connect to that? And that also has to do with making every day mean something important. So it's like, how can you take care of you emotionally, physically, energetically? How can you really take care of yourself in terms of like, what are you eating? Did you sleep enough? Did you do self-care? Are you practicing stress management? So every single day is important. And yes, everyone's days are busy and filled with a whole bunch of activities and we're all go, go, go. But you need to take that time to like ground, check in with your breath, have that glass of water and just really process that. Because otherwise, a day turns into a week turns into a month. And I'm just like, wait, what year are we in? Are we in June? Is it July? Is it April? What's going on? So if you don't stop to actually check in, it's going to keep on going and you're never going to make the time. So you just kind of have to stop and shove in the little self-care bits and pieces everywhere, because it is going to foster resilience for you in the future for whenever something does happen that kind of challenges you.
Oh, so we got to make it a great day every day, but we should overall, we always talk about that, the importance of it. So hobbies, do things you like. I wish I want to gain more time. How could I gain more time to do the things I like?
Get rid of things that don't matter and delegate. There is enough time. There is enough
and I got to
time.
Sleep less. I got to get up earlier. Oh, it's my own fault. I know it is. I know.
Fight that. Sleep is super important, but where are the little bits and pieces where you're losing time? So it's like, I sometimes will someone will blow dry my hair while I'm doing emails, or delegate something, or rather than you driving, can you get an Uber so you're doing emails in the back, or listen to a podcast while making dinner and then you're learning something. So you know what I mean? There's you gotta move things around.
I know. I got a bunch of excuses. I know. All right.
All good. Hey, I love you and your excuses exactly as you are.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Timea, what other things do you offer? You want to remind our listeners how we can reach out for you for all your services, and do you have any group sessions coming up? I think you talked about that.
Always have group sessions coming up. So if you want to check out some of my offerings, it's theurbanhealer.ca. It's CA because I'm in Canada, but I do obviously take virtual clients from all over the world. I have a couple of things happening, so you can work with me one-on-one in 4 weeks or in a 12-week container, and that uses all the things. So hypnosis, Reiki, life coaching, NLP. In terms of group coaching, I have one beautiful little container going on right now that is hypnosis and the Akashic records. And then I'm also doing one with a friend of mine. She is about to be a naturopathic doctor, and she's all about trauma, releasing trauma from the body, how to kind of process it. And then I share some of the healing tools that you can do on your own to process whatever traumas might be living within you. And those are some of the big ones that are coming up. There's another one coming, but I haven't announced it yet. So you just have to be part of my Instagram or my newsletter. And on Instagram, I'm _urban healer. And there's always giveaways. So check me out.
Thank you. And when will we see you back here again?
Not on Friday because I'm going away for the weekend.
Enjoy yourself. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and looking forward to hearing about the vacation. You're going to come back with the glow, well-rested glow. I deserve one too soon. Have a great day, hon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.